Framing bias is a cognitive bias where people decide on options based on how the options are presented, rather than just on the actual information behind those options. In other words, how the information is framed has much more power and more influence than the information itself. The context of what is called the attention economy or information economy has gradually normalized the propensity and what many perceive even as a type of necessity to present a self-image that is quite different from what we actually are. This drive is known as image impression management. Its most common goal is mainly, of course, a profit, but it is also visibility, consensus, approval, acceptance, and ultimately, even a certain level of perceived power. It goes without saying that the tendency to show the best of us when we present ourselves in public is not an intrinsically fictitious or inherently misleading inclination. Of course, no. Indeed, it is anthropologically normal, let's put it this way, and psychologically understandable to want to appear presentable and decent and non-uncanny. A different matter, however, is the desire to appear very different from how we are in real life. And not only in terms of physical appearance, age, and general aesthetic presence, but also in the sense of intellectual level, thinking ability, and ultimately even intelligence. It is intrinsically dishonest to try to present ourselves as having an intelligence we don't possess in everyday life. Yet many play this game of self-promotion and the inherent toxic competitiveness it breeds. It is a bit like not being what we preach, or being fundamentally misaligned in real life with how we want others to perceive us. Nonetheless, this modern proclivity to appear using the image of what in real life we are not has been progressively culturalized, massively encouraged by social media algorithms and the era of so-called influencers, and thus normalized over the years, primarily by online trends, internet memes or viral content, and the fictitious pressure of online communities. This collective drive, in essence, is always ethically flawed, because it is chronically based on framing bias-focused psychobehavioral architecture, which again consists in the circumstance in which the way the representation of anything is presented has much more impact and therefore much more influence than the actual content itself. Therefore, investments and efforts are devoted to constructing and managing the former rather than transmitting the latter. We have essentially immersed ourselves in a mindset that makes us function like Temu, the notorious online e-commerce marketplace platform where too often, products have a quite different quality compared with how they are presented online. We have Temu-ised ourselves, transforming ourselves into a kind of beautified replica of ourselves, made of filters and retouching, AI corrections of imperfections in our look, and a scripted and edited narrative that makes us appear to be something we aren't in everyday life. This cognitive investment is therefore entirely focused on exalting the image of what we are actually not, regardless of the proposed content or its validity or invalidity. In an era where so much is being said about the problem of loneliness, the rise in mental distress, and the decline of communication and relationships, whether it be friendships, partnerships, dates, or simply mere digital interactions, living in an era where we interact using the image of what we are not represents an embarrassing, depressing, inherently toxic, dishonest, deceiving, and intrinsically dystopically deceptive dissonance. This modern existence, made up of digital filters, distortions of how we present our personality, possibly carefully concealing our flaws, made up of plastic surgery perhaps, or fillers eventually, glorification of the appearance of success, accomplishment, and happiness, fake actualization, living our best life as kind of mantras, and so on. This artifice existence inevitably creates a fundamental and systematic erosion of the ability to trust those with whom we interact. All of this should therefore encourage us to ask ourselves the following question. If we truly believe that loneliness is a modern problem to be addressed, then why are we this way? Why not address it with this question as the first approach? It is clear that the rational way to address the issue of loneliness, as well as the only way, I will say, has to begin from and through introspective, critical, serious, and unfiltered self-examination. So please, let's think about these things seriously, profoundly, and intelligently.